Hi, everybody.
Hello there.
I'm Jerry.
And I'm Linda, and this is Gizmo.
We're the village's newcomers. Today we're going to discuss quite a few things of interest to you. Some of them we've discussed before. You know they say there's nothing new under the sun. We never address rumors and the scandalous things that are printed about the villages. But today we are. We're going to talk about those famous loofahs. In fact, I saw an article this week. Someone sent us a copy of it, and it has a beautiful graphic with displaying all the different colors of loofahs and what they stand for. And so we did a little investigating, and we're going to bring you that.
Love bugs are back.
Those pesky little love bugs, we'll talk about them. Some email scams. We touched on scams, months ago. They're hitting us with a vengeance, so we want to talk about that and make sure that our friends are ready, if and when they get one.
And we're going to talk about Gatorland.
We went to Gatorland. It was a good time, and we'll show you some highlights of that trip. Another thing we've talked about before, don't want to, beat it like a dead horse, but it's insurance. And homeowners insurance. We found out some things this week and had it hit close to home, so we thought we'd bring it back up and talk to you just a little bit about it.
It's always a hot topic.
It
a hot topic.
And last week we talked about Karens. Gosh, we heard from so many Karens this week. We're going to readdress that just a little bit here.
And we're going to talk about the hurricanes predicted for 2022.
Hurricane season.
Oh no.
All that and more. Hit it, Wally.
Send us your questions, we've got your answers. Jerry and Linda's Mailbag Monday.
Charlotte and Lawrence. They bought a new home in Hawkins. They've lived in many places. They've traveled a lot, but they're going to call the village's home. Welcome.
We went to Culver's last week and we met some really nice ladies. Susan, Jackie, and Diane.
Yeah, they were super nice. Peter and Linda are from Brooklyn, New York. They're going to be coming down for a few months visiting friends, and we just wanted to issue a welcome and hope you have a good time. Have you ever heard of birdie juice? You haven't, have you? Well, here it's a custom. A lot of these people, particularly the ladies, carry little bottles of whiskey in their golf cart in case any of them make a birdie. Thankfully, they don't make that many birdies. But here's a picture of some of Linda's buddies, and they're partaking of some of that good old birdie juice. And after golf, the girls often go somewhere. Might go to Havana Country Club or Bonifay, but on this occasion, you can see the picture here. They all went to Edna's on the green, and they took their hubbies with them, and everybody had a great time. And they drank some more juice.
Steve and Adele moved into St. John's this last week.
Yeah, they're from our old stomping grounds. They're from Prospect, Kentucky, which is a suburb of Louisville.
Louisville, we say.
And we're glad to have them. Welcome.
Jerry and Dee took their first cart ride in Osceola Hills.
Do you remember your first car ride? We've been in golf carts a lot over the years, but it's different down here. And in fact, next week we have a really good question about golf cart riding, and we'll put it on there. But do you remember the time the lady came here?
Yes.
Tell them about that. When she had never driven a golf cart before, never.
We really like this lady. She was so sweet. She called us when we met up with her, and she'd never been on a golf cart.
Lifestyle visit,
and she said she had a golf cart in her garage, and she had never been on one before. I said, well, just stay where you are. We're going to come and help you. So we did. We went down to her place, and we were going to drive into Brownwood. Oh my, it took us like an hour to get there because we went only like 2 miles an hour. And I kept saying, you can move a little faster, press that gas pedal.
She was over in, what's the name of that place? Alden Bungalows.
Bungalows, yeah.
And we took off, and instead of going 20 like normal, I was going 5. And I look back, and they're not behind me, and I back up, and here they come. Intimidated. Well, if you are intimidated, if you're not sure, if you're nervous, it's better to go slow than fast.
Yes.
But guess what? She bought a house here.
Yes.
She lives here now.
And I bet she's a great golf cart driver.
Got a golf
now.
cart. Gordy and Deb Hawkins. They just celebrated their 43rd wedding anniversary.
Ah, happy anniversary.
Yeah, and they're coming for a lifestyle visit. So, couple of congratulations.
Evelyn sent this great picture of her dog loving Gizmo.
That's Peaches. And we get these pictures. And Gizmo, what do you think, man?
Gizmo's
He's a little celebrity.
Yeah.
Here's Hinda. Hinda's wearing her Jerry and Linda t-shirt. She is one of our loyal viewers all the way up in New Brunswick, Canada.
Nice.
Thank you, Hinda.
Jen and Ricky are at Fenway Park. You've been there. We've been there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they're from New Hampshire, and they're coming to the Villages.
That's a great picture, by the way. And we have been there, and I love Fenway Park and that green monster. We sat right up on the green monster
Yes,
before.
We did.
It's a beautiful place. So much history there. John and Penny, what an adorable couple. They're coming all the way from Tucson, Arizona for a lifestyle visit. I know you're going to have a great time.
Mm-hmm. Laura sent this picture of Poppy, and Poppy sent today's joke for Gizmo.
That's right. And Poppy's a good-looking dog, but it's not Poppy like a flower. It's Poppy like Poppy, like P-A-P-I.
Oh.
So if you write him a letter, or you're going to know how to spell it. Mike and Sharon DeBose stopped by. These are loyal viewers all the way from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And they brought us some Cajun fixins, and we really appreciate that. They are super cruisers. They go on lots and lots of cruises. Like I said, we've only been on one. We're fixing to go on one, though.
Yeah, they're going to show us the ropes, right?
I said fixing. We are.
Because I'm going to be fixing some Cajun food.
That's right. I'll be eating it. If you follow us on Facebook, and that is The Villages Newcomers, Jerry and Linda, we appreciate that. We love it when you watch and look and view our pictures, but if you'll follow us, that makes it even better. And I'll post funny pictures, unusual pictures, just pictures from our day-to-day life on there. You can't add any pictures to a comment on YouTube.
No.
You can't add any. So that's where we do it, on Facebook. But I posted a picture of Linda and her identical twin. And
I don't
here
think
it
you got
is.
my permission or hers.
I never do. I never get the permission. But here's the picture. And can you tell which one is Linda and which one is her sister? People were about 70-30 getting it right. You can tell, right? Well, here's the answer. Linda is on the right. And they have looked quite a bit alike forever. They don't fool me. They never have. People ask that all the time. Have you ever tried? Linda's a way better kisser than her sister. I'm just
I had
kidding.
to ask Connie about that one. Funny.
Here's a mystery photo. This family is all decked out in their, what do you call that? It's flannel.
The Christmas PJs.
Yeah, there's Christmas PJs, and what a good-looking family. I lost the email. I don't know who you are.
Aww.
So there you are, and you look awesome, and thanks for sending in the picture.
Send in your name again.
Yeah, a reminder. The higher resolution, the better. And landscape if you can do it. If you don't, I'll still try to fix it up. But when you see those pixelated pictures or the blurry pictures, that's because what you sent me wasn't high resolution enough. But thank you for sending them. And as always, thank you for sending those good questions. Last week, we addressed the topic of Karens. It has become popular to call somebody that gets into other people's business or somebody that's very, very strict or whatever. You can use it for a whole variety of things to call them a Karen. And there are so many wonderful Karens out there. And we have heard from over 100 of them this week that said, thank you for standing up for our name. You know, I'll stand up for you all, Karen, just like I would for John. You know, people have been calling toilets Johns for years.
That's true.
Although I don't think that's, or a customer of a prostitute is called a John. You know, so that's not nice either. And there are some other names too. You didn't?
No.
But I'm just going to make a suggestion. Remember, we used to call people nib nose?
Yes.
Or busybody?
Yes.
What else?
Gladys, you call me Gladys.
Well, that's I can't do that because there are people out there named Gladys. So you remember Gladys Kravitz on the Bewitched show? That's what I called her because if somebody gets a new car, oh, I think they got a new car. Or,
Just can't help it.
the grandkids are over there across the street or whatever. You know, we call that a nib nose. Or a Budinsky or a nib nose. But let's give Karen some slack. And if you hear
Excuse
Bless
me.
you. If you hear anybody using that, please just give them a gentle reminder that Karens are people too.
Every fall and every spring, we get this little bitty bug called the love bugs, and they're here. I've seen a couple so far, and they don't sting, they don't bite, they're just pesky. They're around your car, and they get on your car.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you're driving down the road, you hit these swarms and they stick to your paint.
Yeah.
They stick to your radiator. They will totally clog it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're a pest. You hardly ever see one lug bug.
No, well,
They're stuck together.
they're mating.
Yeah,
That's why they're love
I guess.
bugs.
You have them on your car. It's a mess. How do you get them off?
Well, the first thing you do is do it quickly. Don't wait days. When you see them on your car, get lots of water, put water on the love bugs, with paper towel or whatever, cloth. And then you take a dryer sheet and put dryer sheets on top of it. And then somehow the dryer sheet will help loosen up the bug from your paint on your car. So someone found out this little neat trick, so give it a try.
A nice lady named BW, she just gave us her initials, wrote a letter, and I'm going to put it on the screen here for you. But it's meaningful advice for all of us. Let me read it to you. Love your show. Just thought I'd add my 2 cents. When I was young, I worked long and hard to be able to have a comfortable retirement. Well, let me tell you, I worked too long. Right after I comfortably retired, my health went in the bucket, and now I'm housebound. Thankfully, I took very nice vacations along the way. If you're thinking about anything, do it sooner than later. She goes on to tell us that time waits for no one, and that is true. We've talked to many people here and asked them if they have any regrets about moving to the villages.
Right.
And Linda told you a few weeks ago the number one regret
Is not moving here sooner.
Right.
And reach for your dreams. As soon as you get that dream, just act upon it.
When we were teaching, as people approached 55, they could retire at 55 if they had 30 years of service. And so many people went beyond that, and they went to 65. And we'd hear about people retiring, and then two months later, they're sick with cancer, or their husband died, or whatever. I mean, you never know.
Life is short.
Yeah, it's what Clint Eastwood said. Tomorrow is promised to no one. So we say, have fun when you can have it. We're responding this week to Shauna's letter. Shauna writes, hoping you can shed light on the loofah code. I thought it was a joke and played on the outsider's view of the villages. But when I was there in January, I saw a woman with a loofah on the back of their hat. Many of you out there don't know what a loofah is. We're going to show you one. Here it is. That's a loofah. That's a big one though, isn't it?
It is pretty big.
And what are they for?
These are to help, you scrub when you take a shower, and it really makes your skin really soft. So they're really nice to have, and they suds up the soap on your body. It's lovely.
Well, urban legend has it that is a signal, depending on what color it is, of what you're into, as far as, you know what I'm talking about.
Extracurricular
Yeah,
activities.
extracurricular. And they even made a chart out. I'm not going to show you the chart. I'm always reluctant about showing third-party graphics because I don't know who designed it and if they'd be mad if I used it. But if you Google the villages and loofahs, you can find it easy enough. And they will show you a white one, a red one, a pink one, a blue one, a black one. And they go on in the article to tell about how these villagers are really into this. And you'll see these on all the golf carts, and people will be advertising what they're into. And well, as far as that goes, we didn't have any idea. So we went out. I took my trusty sidekick, Gizmo. We went out to investigate. Gizmo and I came out to see if we could find any of those world famous loofahs. Let's take a look around the parking lot. Well, there it is. Now, I went through two big parking lots, the Walmart parking lot and the Colony Plaza parking lot, and I scanned every car looking for the loofahs. And if I could have gotten a hold of the driver, I would have said, hey, what's that loofah stand for? But you know what? We looked at 1,913 cars and found no loofahs.
Who counted?
Now we found one pickleball. A wiffle ball pickleball was on it. You know, what's that all about?
Well, they play pickleball.
Is that a whole nother thing?
Yeah, pickleball club.
But I'm going to tell you what it is. It's, if you see one, which we've seen a couple, they were usually on a white SUV so that the 80-year-old car owner could tell which SUV was hers.
Oh, right.
But in all those cars we saw today, not one, not a single one. And yet the writer of this article would have you think that this is Loofah City.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. You know, we did the show, the review of Some Kind of Heaven, where it kind of portrayed citizens here as
Swingers.
freewheeling, swinging drunks. And it's not that way.
Nope.
These people from out of town come here looking for a story. If you don't get a story, you failed. You're a failure. So they have to find a story. So what do? They go to a bar and they camp out for one night or 2 nights or 3 nights until they find a colorful character.
Well, because they're going to have loose lips, right?
We have 140,000 people here. You're going to have some of everything, but it's not widespread. It's just like the STD rumor. It's just like the swingers rumor. It's crazy. It's just crazy talk. If you've been on a lifestyle here, then you know. And the people that have been here, we don't have to convince. It's the people that hear it from my hairdresser's next door neighbor has a friend, and she knows for a fact that they have these fish bowls and they put their keys in them. And you've been reading too many articles and watching too much TV.
There you go.
But do watch YouTube. That's not what that is. Why did you make that up? I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, but I mean, you gotta get in the ballpark.
We had a question from a viewer that asked, did they ever consider having a key swipe or a card swipe instead of
The IDs.
the IDs?
That would be pretty cool. I mean, you could go to the pool and they would have a swipe and you would swipe the gate and it would open for you. If you don't have your ID, no swipe. Even your guests should be with you when you go to these places, right?
Sure. Yes.
And you could, that's a good idea. And they have attendants. Liz over there at Burnside now, she's a champ, isn't she?
She is.
You try to sneak in there, buddy, Liz is going to be out there wanting your ID. So don't even think about it. But what happens is some people from, I'll say that live 5 miles away, 10 miles away, come to use our pools sometime. And they'll come to the pools and they have to present an ID. If they don't have one, sometimes they'll jump in the water and it's inconvenient to go out in the water and say, can I see your ID? So this would eliminate any possibility of outsiders unless they hop the fence.
Yeah, that's kind of impossible.
Card swipe sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah. We are just about in the hurricane season.
We are in hurricane season. Have you noticed the wind blowing more?
Yesterday, it was quite windy.
I had a little project. I was outside spray painting.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Don't spray paint in the wind.
We gave up on that project.
But we did some research, and one company had some pretty good predictions for this summer. So I used Force 13. Their predictions were that in 2022, they predict that we're going to have 22 tropical storms in the Atlantic around Florida.
Yikes.
22.
Yikes.
8 of them will be Category 1 storms, and 5 would be Category 3.
Oh my.
Of course, it's just a guess. First of all, I never trust a weatherman. Do you? You do. She always wants to know,
I do.
what's the weather today? I don't even care.
He
I don't
doesn't.
care. I don't care what the weather is today.
We-
We're going to do our thing no matter what.
Yeah.
Unless, they close the golf course.
I will ask Alexa what is the temperature in the morning so I'll know what to wear. Shorts are a little bit longer. So
How many hurricanes, though? They predicted 8 hurricanes this year will hit Florida or the Gulf, and that 5 of them will be severe. We hope that's wrong.
Wow, you do hope that.
Paul and Karina from Winchester, Massachusetts have a question about taxes. They're basing their question on a property with a value of $362,000. If they were to buy a house like that and bought it around the asking price, would the taxes go way up over what the current owners are paying? Good question. We wondered this very same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what we think the answer is. Do your own research. We bought this house way more. We paid more than we wanted to, but it had everything we wanted. So we paid more. And because we paid more, at the time we bought it, it was the payment was more than the assessed value by a lot. So I figured that the value assessment would go up to what we paid. That's not true. I called, and of course, I'm trying to keep it down, you know.
Yeah.
And they said that they do an average of 10 property sales of the same size and type of house. For instance, in this one, it's a designer home. It's about 2,000 square feet, and it's block and stucco. So they would compare recent sales of those homes, and they'll do an average. And we were pleasantly surprised that it did not go up as much as we feared. So I suspect that'll be the case. But if you do an average of the last 10 homes that sold now,
Yeah.
those prices are jacked up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I don't know. I mean, you're dealing with Uncle Sam, and he wants his hand in your pocket.
This question is from Dennis and Patsy from Rhode Island, from Newport. We've been up there, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lovely city. What is so special about a designer home? Do they have any special touches that separate them from a regular home?
A designer home is a regular home. Every home, single family home that's built here now is going to be one of several types. And you can correct me out there because I may forget one, but a designer home is the norm. Then you have patio villas, then you have courtyard villas, and you have veranda homes. But a designer home sounds like, oh, you live in a designer home.
Yeah.
It's just a home. It's just a home. Now, they are an open living plan most of the time, but that's not because they're a designer home. There used to be homes that were a little bit superior.
Yeah.
What do they call those?
And they called those premier homes. And they were quite larger by square footage.
Well, they could be 200 square feet more or 500 square feet more.
Yeah.
And they would generally be a more impressive home, a bigger home, you know, it's more stately. And often they build those in areas that have enhanced views.
Yes. Yeah. Like a golf course view or a lake view or
Preserve, yeah.
preserve.
Yeah. In fact, at this point in time, we don't think they're building any premier homes. A designer home would be the norm. I told you we would talk about scams a little bit. As we get older, sometimes we tend to fall for scams. Linda's mom is a good example. She was a widow and living alone for almost 20 years, or maybe more. And frequently would get calls. And she's such a nice lady, she didn't want to hang up on anybody or be rude with anybody. And they would be trying to get her to sign up for this or that. But recently there have been a rash of emails, and we will get 2 or 3 a day, along with those ridiculous telemarketing calls that we get. But on the emails, there's a couple going around. I want to show you some examples on the screen after I read you this letter. I received an email this morning from PayPal thanking me for a $719.68 purchase of a camera. It said if that was not my charge, to call an 800 number, and it was PayPal. Well, first of all, our advice is don't ever respond to an email with a phone number and call that number. They will try very hard to pump you for information. They'll try to get your credit card number, your bank account numbers. Sometimes they even try to just get you to say the word yes. They can record your word yes and use it against you as they look for other information with other companies. So don't respond to anything. If you would get something, say for example, from Amazon, that says you owed X number of dollars or had been charged to your account. Don't call the number on the email. Go to your own statement, find the Amazon number and call them. And most times you'll find out that's just someone trying to rip you off.
Yeah.
You'll see some examples of Norton virus prevention. And it will almost always say that you have been renewed. And you can see these. I'll put a couple of them up there. We got multiples. We get them all the time. And they're usually with really unusual names. You can tell it was created by someone that doesn't even speak English.
Yes.
And they're odd. So they stand out sometimes not. But you can see those. It says you've already been billed $484. They want you to dispute that so they can get information from you. Don't do it. Just put those in direct those to your spam folder.
Right.
Or flag it. You can flag it and you'll never get any more from them. But there were quite a few letters about this, and we know it's a problem. Don't fall for it.
Yeah, call your son or your daughter or somebody, a trusted relative, to go over what you've gotten if it's a suspicious email, or even call the sheriff department. They have a scam line in the newspaper. There's numbers for you to call if you think you've been scammed.
Since the grandkids are living in Orlando, we're able to join them for activities. And this week, what do we do?
We went to Gatorland.
We went to Gatorland. It's on outskirts of Orlando. It's about an hour and 15 minutes from here, an hour and 10 minutes. And it is a neat place.
It was a wonderful place for a family, and you don't have to spend the top bucks at Disney. You can spend the day at Gatorland and enjoy it, and it had nice paths and lots of things to do. There aren't any rides particularly, but there's just a lot.
There are a few. There are a few. You have a zip line, and they have a train ride, and some things. But they have they have shows, and they have demonstrations, and they'll feed those gators.
Yeah.
It's really good. It costs about $50 for an annual pass if you're a Florida resident.
For an annual pass.
We got an annual pass.
Yeah.
And they have less expensive daily admissions for Florida residents. It was a better trip for me than when we went to Disney's Hollywood Studios. I prefer Epcot. Epcot's great.
Yeah.
But this is a great change of pace, a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And they have a water park for the kids.
Oh, they enjoyed that so much. Yes.
I mean, it's a kind of a simple little water park, but I tell you what, it really entertained ours. And Larry, the famous gator from the Villages.
Dear Larry.
About 3 years ago, Larry was so big, he was scaring people.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, just the size. And it was
stop
up near
and
Brownwood. So it was near that road that goes into Brownwood from Collier. And he would cross that path sometimes or be laying out soaking in the sun, and people would freak out. Well, he was such an impressive alligator, they didn't kill him like they do most of them when they have to remove them. They took him to Gatorland, and he's still there. And he's one of the big ones there. He's not the biggest one there. In fact, we didn't see him because there's a big natural habitat, and he was in there. And we couldn't tell laying out there which one was Larry and which one wasn't. But I did talk to the people about him, and he's doing well.
Yeah, they said we should have a collar with his name on it, right?
Piggybacking on our son going to Orlando and living there now in a nice house in a development there, he had to buy homeowners insurance. His homeowners insurance bill is almost what's more than triple what we pay. So we're investigating that for him. And yesterday I talked to some insurance agents and was told that this is a crisis, that the insurance companies have taken so many hits from people falsely claiming roof damage that several companies have gone out of business. Other ones have stopped taking any new business with houses, get this, with roofs over 4 years old. Our current company will not renew it with a roof over 15 years old. We mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. And it's to the point where it's a crisis because you must have insurance. Our suggestion would be to call a broker. Don't call an individual company. Get somebody working for you that can examine with all the companies available and find something suitable. Our son and daughter-in-law are in an area that's not a flood threat. It's interior. It's not on the coast. Shouldn't be that much, but their bill's going to be $3,300 a year. That's a lot. Some examples. My insurance went up $350 last December. Another one. Mine went up $500 last year and another $509 this year. That's in the last 2 years, the premium went up $1,009.
That's horrible.
One person decided to play the game and replace their roof so they wouldn't get the big penalties.
Yeah.
And they said that their bill went up $500 this year anyway. Another one writes their homeowner's policy went up 39% and they have never filed a claim. So we're getting to the crisis stage. I've heard that the governor has asked Congress, the Florida state government, to have special meetings to discuss this insurance crisis. They need to get it worked out. Young people, when you buy a home, you're spending more for that home than you ever thought you would.
Yeah.
Then you get the home and you've got to pay an exorbitant amount for insurance. Some communities have gone to self-insuring, where everybody puts the money in a pot, and then if somebody in that, but let's face it, that may not be practical. If you had 100 homes and everybody chipped in $1,000,
Yeah.
that's $100,000. If you had a catastrophe where multiple homes were involved, that wouldn't be enough money.
No.
If you notice, Linda's suffering a little bit today. She injured herself eating chocolate last night.
I was eating a candy bar and then I went to, well, anyway, my jaw came out of socket and oh my gosh, I have never had that pain like that in my life. And I thought, what, how am I, and I was working with my face.
Some people said childbirth's pretty rough.
That's true. Okay, maybe this is the second worst pain. But anyway, it was unbelievable. And I thought, what's happening? And I couldn't get my mouth closed. I came out to the room screaming to Jerry, my jaw. That was weird.
If she says it was a bad pain, she's right, because this lady, I'm going to outline some of her injuries in the past few years. She ran a steel rod into her eye.
Well, actually, it was right here, right there.
Okay, we won't get to it too much. She did that. She slipped on the ice and her head hit the concrete like a watermelon. She got a concussion, had to rush her to the doctor. She severed 3 fingers on one of her hands. You fell and broke your leg.
Broke my foot. Yeah. So yeah, I've had a lot of little accidents. So people are wondering if Jerry's abusing me. No, he's not. I'm just like a little bit accident prone. But anyway.
In the future, if you get around that chocolate, just let me have it, and
That's the truth.
and I'll take care of you.
That was God's way of telling me, don't eat this chocolate.
Let's do our last question of the day.
What is the village's rule if the family member is not 55 plus? We plan on living there for 20 plus years, and that would put our oldest child in the early 50s.
We're going to do a show on this, but basically, in a nutshell, if you own a house and you have a child in his 50s and you pass away, he can take over that house. They're not going to run him out. The rule is 80-20, meaning 80% 55 or older, but the other 20% can't be any age. Can't be anybody here under 19.
Right?
And it has to be somebody near retirement age in each home. That 80-20 rule. It simply means that 80% of the population has to be over 55. The other 20% can be less. But basically, they want somebody in every home to be near that 55 rule. So you couldn't have... In fact, Linda knows the story of 2 young people in their 30s.
Yeah, they inherited some money, quite a bit of money, and they bought 2 homes in the villages, but they can't live here. They're young in their 20s, but they can own the home, but they cannot live here.
And you'll find people on Nextdoor, on Talk of the Villages, and everything that will argue that rule. And people move to a retirement community where it's 55 and older because they don't want to live next to 25-year-old people that, blast music and throw parties and drive fast. And not that old people can't do those things too. You have been a good boy today. Are you ready for your segment? Are you?
Yes.
Take it away, Giz.
Usually, Mom and Dad take all of the questions, but today one came in and I just have to step up. Jim and Sue DeCastro wrote and said, "We have seen many pictures and videos of the villages, but I don't recall seeing any fire hydrants. There must be water sources for firemen. Do you have fire hydrants?" Boy, Jim and Sue, that was one of my prerequisites when we moved down here. I said, hey, we have to find a neighborhood with fire hydrants. And we have one right across the street from our house. I can look down the block and there's another one. And about every 500 feet, you'll see one of these beautiful red fire hydrants. So don't worry, Jim and Sue. We got them. You know, just thinking about those fire hydrants makes me want to go outside. But before I do, I'm going to tell you one joke. Where did Captain Hook buy his hook? At a second-hand store. A second-hand. Thanks, everybody.
Mailbag Monday.
Good work, buddy.
You are a funny character, aren't you?
Hey, thanks to everybody that sent in questions and pictures. We appreciate all of you. And if you watched our show last Thursday that was about electric golf cars, we appreciate that too.
If you liked our video today, please press that like and subscribe button and share it with your friends, and then press that little button and you'll get a notification of the new shows coming up. Until next time.
See you when you get here.